Chapter 4. Residence in the Basement. Before Seina's eyes there was a large fissure. Although the width of the fissure wasn't so bad, the length of it was so long that the end couldn't be seen, as if it went all the way to the other end of the planet. There seemed to be air containing a slight amount of moisture coming out of it as low shrubs and grasses grew around it. "You go down here all the time?" Seina asked. The path sloped till it became nearly vertical, but there was no indication that it was likely to get down very far. "Oni-chan, over here." The boy pointed to a place where large and small holes opened like wormwood along the fissure. There was a cavity below. Quickly, they went into the hole, and the boy took out a small flashlight from his luggage bag and lit it. It seemed to be quite old. The metal was scuffed up, and the light-emitting element seemed to be considerably deteriorated. Nonetheless, there was enough light to illuminate the inside of the cave. Seina's suit had a lighting function that would have illuminated the faraway areas brightly, but it seemed unnecessary to use it. "Your older sister, is she okay?" The girl seemed uneasy as she looked up at Seina and said, "I'll be fine, although it may take some time, I'll heal." The young girl responded with ease. It made him remember when Yoshiko got her favorite clothes soaked with Seina's blood. They went through a series of intricate caves. "So, how long is it to your village?" "It's about 8 hours on foot, and we're taking the long way around." "Oh, so this isn't the normal way?" "We live by hiding from them, so we can't go to the settlement directly. But we often walk this long of a distance. When we come out, we use a different route that's much shorter, but there are some shortcuts to get back down to the basement, so it's fine." The boy pointed to the corner of the cave as he said that. At the bottom was a hole in the wall behind a stone that one would overlook at first glance. Quite a few people have come and gone from here. The stone was worn from constant use. Behind it, a stone pavement was laid on the floor. Stones of different colors were arranged in a pattern in the central part. At first glance, it looked someone had set up a simple residence in that part of the cave. "Oni-chan," in the middle of that stone. Pulled by the girl, Seina stood in the center. The boy followed a few seconds later, shined the light of the flashlight on one of the patterns on the surrounding walls. A few minutes later, the stone at their feet began to hum, and soon they were transported to another place. The boy and girl led Seina by the hands out of the hall. Unlike the previous tunnels, plants that emitted light like those on Jurai were planted in places to light the way. "That was a transfer gate. Is it here from the ruins, or did they bring it when they settled?" If they were naturalists, that kind of technology should have been disposed of. Needless to say, it's not like their descendants would strictly keep to those ideals. If this leads to ruins of the oldest civilization, it's a great discovery. Nonetheless, that was no concern to Seina now. This cave system is quite extensive, isn't it? It spreads around the area where those Shankais are. "Shank. Those are Shank's pirates." Seina's blood boiled. "Well, yes, I heard that Terrence Shank is their boss." "Really?" Anxiety overwhelmed Seina. "Do you know him, Big Brother?" "He's a famous space pirate." "You said these tunnels were centered on the area where Shank is." "Yeah, there was a big opening there originally, and there's an underground cave centered on it. Our clan originally lived in the center of it long before we were born. Then suddenly the Shank guys came and built a base." "So, you're hiding under the basement of the base?" "Yeah, we can't go near there though." "Aren't you worried that they'll find you?" "The way in looks like a bottomless pit, so adults just assume it's dangerous and never get close." "Is that so? But why aren't there any guards?" "Since the underground parts are completely covered with metal walls, there's no place for them to get in or out. You can't enter from the base, there's only an entrance from the outside." "Okay, so what if I wanted to go out near the base? Could I manage that somehow?" "I'll show you if you want to go. I know the way because I often go to the playground." "The playground?" "It's a secret to adults, but there are lots of old ruins there, and it's very interesting." "I understand. It's a good thing I found you then." He had thought helping them was a detour, but it had become a shortcut. "That's where our village is located." The boy pointed to an exit where a bright light came from. "Who is he?" 2 guards with spears were standing where the tunnel opened. They pointed spears at Seina. "It's okay. This guy helped us out." The boy immediately waved his hands and ran in front of Seina. "Kujuro. Aka." The guards cried when they saw the boy and the girl next to Seina. The settlement was in a domed area about 30 meters in diameter. It was completely artificial, like it had been made of ceramic. There was a 5-meter hole in the ceiling from which sunshine flooded in. I can't believe this stupid son of mine. Most of the village adults who came running were female. One mother-like woman jumped out of the crowd and suddenly grabbed the boy and started spanking him. I'm sorry, Mom. Why didn't you stop him, Akka? Well. Oh, Akka. Not you too. The woman then began to spank Akka's butt. Although it was not as intense as the boys, the sound echoed inside the dome. I'm sorry, Akka said with teary eyes, but her facial expression was bright. Unlike the boy who held his butt and was crouched over with teary eyes. Thank you very much for helping my son and this girl. The mother's anger had passed, and she finally ran to Sana and bowed deeply. The other adults also approached Kujuro and Akka and were pleased that they were safe. Oh, no, it's my duty, and also, it might be my fault. Oh! Well, I heard that Akka's mother is sick, is that true? Yes. It's bad, but if we had some medicinal herbs she could recover, but it's not safe to go harvesting. So that was a dangerous place? Yes, especially for Akka. She's her mother's only child. I understand why you were worried. To be honest, I was planning to go to get them myself. For us, Akka's mother is an important woman, and she's important to our idol because she is his shrine maiden. We can't let her die. She's the shrine maiden of the idol? At that time, there were sounds coming from many people. The men came forward, and from that crowd an old man approached Sana. What do you think of him, elder? The elder man came before Sana. Did you come from the sky? He stared at Sana's face. Yes, that's right, elder. Big brother came from the sky, and he brought a big sister. Oh! Okay, then you're the legendary brave hero. What? The village is going to be saved. Do you mean me? You shouldn't take the elder so seriously. I'm sure he'd say that to anyone, Kujuro said. This time I mean it. The elder said, come now, let's throw him a welcome party. There is no doubt that this is his cruiser, but there's no one inside. It's not going anywhere, that's for sure. Should we bring it to the engineers? A heavy machine like a large 6-legged spider finished excavating Sana's cruiser. We don't know what kind of traps it has. It's a philosopher's ship after all. Destroy it. Terrence seemed annoyed and broke communication. Roger that. So, those 3 saw Sana Yamada? Terrence asked. Only signs of them, but they saw him. What do you mean? They were in the middle of hunting around that area, and they seemed to have found a new wow. How? It was a frustrating chase. 2 young people who were chasing it seemed to have been killed by Sana Yamada, and it seems that they encountered an older golden-haired wow on the way. That was obviously a decoy to let those children get away. Yes, it seems that way. The operator looked at Terrence and was relieved that he didn't seem too angry. He turned to Arga. So did you catch it? I lost sight of it, I chased after it, but it disappeared. It disappeared. At that moment, Terrence was reminded of the time Kerchi transformed from NB. That's his NB. Skin the area it vanished in. We need to find it. How about you, Kashak? How are you feeling? The woman called Kashak was a golden wow woman like Akka, but had brown hair mixed in some places, and overall, her hair seemed a bit dull because of that. Still, her coat was beautiful looking when the sunlight leaked in and hit it in the dimly lit room she was in. Yes, thanks to the medicine, I'm feeling much better. Well, you should still rest for a while. By the way, I heard that you had some news for me. The elders restrained Kashak, who tried to get up. Yes, our guardian deity has awoken. Was this around the time things started to get noisy above ground? Yes, and then that brave man appeared. And? Kashak looked at the elder with a strange look. And I'm saying he's the genuine thing. He even came from the sky. You can see him in the morning, but in your present condition you should. Wait. No way. Do you mean you want Akka too? The elder quietly acknowledged Kashak's implied question with confusion. Something like that. Kashak covered her face with both hands. That girl is meant to be the next generation shrine maiden. Moreover, he helped her get the medicinal herbs, and that just happened to be where the space pirates attacked them. Is that so? So, I think what we should do is obvious. I hope you have no objection to letting Akka take on the priestess role. I see. I agree. Aka is going to become the new shrine maiden. Kujuro looked up at his mother in astonishment as she began cooking for the party. Oh, but it's because Ms. Kashak is sick. No, it's simply an honor thing. It's a bit early for her to go off to the gods, another woman in the kitchen said. Kujuro quickly ran out of the house. Kujuro. Wait. It is already decided. Aka. Another woman held his mother back from stopping Kujuro. They grew up like they were brother and sister, and the elder knows that. As the woman said, the elder was expecting Kujuro. He let him go ahead without saying anything. From there he was accompanied by a maiden who was there to take him to Aka. Wait a moment. She stopped him and sprinkled salt on him. They were entering a sanctuary, so she was purifying him. I don't have much time, he said as he ran off and passed through the curtain. Kujuro. Aka looked at him and showed the decorations that had been put in her hair. Do you like them? They're my mother's. It feels weird having them. Yeah, it suits you. Kujuro narrowed his eyes to see past the dazzling objects. Here, take this. You've always wanted it, haven't you? Kujuro gave her a faceted crystal that was dark blue like a tropical sea. It was an exquisite aquamarine gemstone. It was hung on a thin thread. Oh, but isn't this your treasure? Not anymore, it is a tribute to the Shrine Maiden. Thank you. She took it with both hands and looked at its beautiful sparkles. We won't be able to play together anymore. Yeah, but as Shrine Maiden, I'll pray hard to the universe for your happiness. Although Aka's expression was slightly cloudy, the expectations of becoming the Shrine Maiden were still large, so she still said that with a smile. Thank you. Even if he had a crush on her, he knew that someday Aka would become a Shrine Maiden, and he knew what that meant. Naturally, he had always known there was no chance of having a happy life together. So, in a way it was as if he had come to see his best friend who was moving away somewhere else. Still, he felt a strong loss as if Aka was now out of his reach. They couldn't continue the conversation anymore. Kujuro just stood there. Come on, Aka, Kujuro, you must prepare soon. Don't keep the brave man waiting. The attending maiden said gently. Yeah, well then. Good luck, Aka. I'm going to do the dance. Please come and watch. They exchanged scratches, which was a sign of affection. This was the last time they could interact as children. Have you made your goodbyes? Kujuro, who came out alone from the back room, was shedding big tears. The elder gently put an arm around him. Do you dislike the brave hero? No. He helped us. He's a very kind person. Remembering Seina's face made his sadness diminish. His fear of being chased by the pirates and the frustrated feelings of desperation and being unable to protect Aka were a bother to him more than anything. So, when Seina appeared, he saw him as a brave man. Besides, he had a gentle atmosphere that only old people had. Aka will be the Shrine Maiden for that brave man, so you should be happy. Yeah, you're right. Kujuro responded as he wiped his tears with his arms. That brave man would surely protect Aka, Kujuro was sure of that. Normally children wouldn't be able to participate in the festivities, but this time is special. We should go watch Aka's dance while we eat the celebratory dishes. However, thinking about the ritual for Seina and Aka, Kujuro felt a bit embarrassed about going. He remembered though that he'd promised to guide Seina to the area near the pirate's base. Although it was a playground, preparations were necessary to get there. Now was the perfect time to acquire the needed items because all the adults were busy. Is Ms. Kashak going to participate in Aka's ceremony? It seems she's doing better thanks to you and those herbs, but it's best that she refrains from doing anything strenuous for the time being. Oh, right. She said she wanted to thank you for the herbs. You should go see her afterwards. What? Oh, yes. Right. The way to the enemy base was in the direction of the shrine of the idol statue. It was a great place to hide the necessary packages. In addition, he'd get to see the beautiful now ex-shrine maiden that he was actually longing for. As he thought about it, his heart was moving like a ringing bell. The village wasn't in a cave made by natural erosion, but rather in an artificially made artifact like a dome. It was destroyed in some places, leaving cracks in parts of the ceiling and walls. What kind of facility it was used for originally was uncertain. In the center was a small river and an underground lake. Luminescent fruit trees covered the inside of the dome, and it was very bright. Around it was houses built by digging holes. They were lined up like a little apartment complex. This is a fantastic-looking settlement, Sena said as he was surrounded by the elders and young Wow women on a big terrace overlooking the underground lake. A variety of dishes were lined up in front of him. I bet there's more to see than there is to do. Ahaha, you're right about that. That's why we're so glad that you came here. The Wow women surrounding Sena were all shapely. If anyone he knew were to see the situation, it would have gone south rather quickly. Celebrate, brave hero. Have all the food and girls you like. I'm sorry, I think I misheard you. No, I said both meals and girls, or would you like a man? No thanks, I'm good, Sena rushed to say. Otherwise, it seemed like a man would come out. Ho ho ho, don't cry, it's time to celebrate. It's just, I'm not used to such a thing. Our village is quarantined because of the space pirates. People rarely come from other villages, so we need new blood or else our gene pool will stagnate. Do you not want to help? I thought you were supposed to be a brave man. At least that's what Kujuro said. It made sense that they'd want to bear the child of a brave hero. There's no need to hesitate. I'm reluctant. Generally, I'm considered a minor. It's okay, they know what they're doing, and there's no problem with it. As the elder of the village, I have given permission. The elder smiled and nudged Sena with his elbow. Isn't helping people the work of a brave hero? The women looked up at Sena as they hung on to him. But he thought of Kariko's face and shook off his evil thoughts. Then he thought of Eri. Suddenly all of his urges faded away. After all, he knew that if something happened here, Kariko would be angry, and Eri would probably try even harder to pursue him. Few things struck as much horror into him as that. I need to think of the safety of my colleagues. I have work that still needs to be done, he said with a resolute attitude, but thank you for the meal. Well, one should always think of their belly first, then you can relax. Ha ha. It's tasty. For the time being, he ignored the elder's words, but the women's hospitality didn't stop. While pretending to recommend drinks and meals, several women from the left and right of him took the opportunity to push their breasts up against him to keep him from escaping entirely. Hey, brave man, are you sure you won't help us? Sena's was embarrassed. The women began begging. Don't you want to help? Oh, everyone get ready, the elder said as everyone's eyes turned towards the small stage extending out to the underground lake. Oh, is that Akka? The curtain opened. Behind it was Akka, wearing a costume embedded with black stones. The hole in the ceiling was covered with a condensing lens so that the collected light struck Akka underneath it like a spotlight, making her golden hair shine. The bustle of the banquet settled down into silence. A click-clack noise echoed as a signal, and Akka, who was staring at Sena, bowed deeply, and instruments started playing as a certain sound began. Akka began to dance quietly. Clap, clap, clap. The dance finished in about 3 minutes, but still it was wonderful and deserved praise. Sena gave generous applause to Akka, who bowed and got off stage. Come, Akka. Over here. Encouraged by the elder, Akka, embarrassed, came over to Sena. She took a knee in front of Sena, and her head dropped deeply. She raised her head back up with her hands up on her face with fright. Huh? Did you like Akka's dance, brave hero? Well yeah, it was great. Then take Akka's hands into yours, brave hero. Oh, okay. Sena thought that it was a sign of praise for the dance. That was awesome, Akka. Sena took both of Akka's small hands into the middle of his. Akka was still embarrassed, yet she grasped Sena's hands firmly. All right. With this, the contract between the brave man and the shrine maiden has been sealed. A roar of cheers came out of the surroundings due to the elder's declaration. What? Why do I feel like I've fallen for some kind of trap? I'm so happy. It was already too late when he saw Akka rejoicing with watery eyes.